Hey everyone, it's Michael again, and I'm talking about our publishing program. And today again, I want to answer a question from a reader. And the question is, it seems that you've sold me on publishing, but I want to publish a single solo book where I'm the sole author, because I agree, publishing is going to be big for me, but I want to write my own book versus publishing a chapter as a co-author in another book. Okay. Actually, I think that's a very, very bad idea. I'm going to explain why and lay it out so you do not make that mistake, because it's a very big mistake you're going to make. I want you to imagine the process of writing. It's actually very hard. It's going to take you 2 to 3 years to write a book. In those 2 to 3 years, you have to dedicate weekends and evenings to writing and researching. That's time away from your family. That's time you couldn't be learning another skill. That's time you couldn't be networking. There's time you couldn't be meeting clients. In that time, you are going to be working largely alone, because even if you can bounce ideas of other people, because the idea is not on paper, they don't know what the idea truly is. So they're assessing your interpretation of what your final idea is going to be. So you work on this for 2 to 3 years. Maybe you can do it in 1 year. But most people, if you think of something on the scale of a book and think of other major things you've started, it takes a long time to do it. It's a laborious process. Next, you've got to send this out to people you know and trust. So you have a network of friends and influential, important people that you have credit with, because why else would they do this? So if you've built up credit with them, you are spending this credit to check a book that you've spent 2 to 3 years working on. Is this the best way to spend this credit? To ask them to check this book. That's what you have to think about. Then they check the book. They either like it or they don't like it. If they like it, good. If they don't like it, one of 2 things is going to happen. Well, 3 things. They're either going to give you useful feedback. They may not give you useful feedback, or they may decide you're not a person worth talking to in the first place because your book is so bad. That can happen. Now, if you get the feedback, you can get feedback from different people who think in different ways. Editing a book is actually harder than writing a book. Most people don't know that. So if you spend 2 years writing the book, now you're getting feedback and you're going to spend another 1 to 2 years editing this. And if you say, well, I can do it quickly, well, what are you cutting out of your life to do quickly? And what is the opportunity cost you? This is why you don't want to write a solo book, because you're looking at a minimum of 2 to 4 years to get this thing out. And in that time, you cannot do many things, and you're going to have to leverage, and then I'll put it in inverted commas, burn some relationships to get the necessary valuable feedback to move forward. Because to edit a book, you have to know what you're editing, and you have to have someone who's going to be very thoughtful and think about this very carefully. So you're asking someone who's very wise and very clever to give you advice on a book. If this person is so wise and so clever, is that where they should be giving you advice on a book or on something else in your life? A chapter allows you to get your central premise and idea out into the market very rapidly and test it. Now imagine you write this chapter, it comes out in our book, and a single client, just one client, decides, I want to work with you because of this chapter, and I'm going to pay you for it. In the space of just a few weeks to a few months, you know the central premise of what can be your future book makes sense, right? That's true. And you're getting paid to do it. Versus in a book, you got to slog away for all this time, burn all these bridges, and then you don't even know if it works. What if the central premise of this long book is a failure? What if your style of writing is so bad that it doesn't work? Because the first time we write usually isn't very good. That's why we have ghostwriting services, right? Because it's not enough to have a good idea. You have to know how to say it. But if you get burnt after 4 years and disheartened, and your first book probably isn't going to be very good because you're learning how to write, that means that you have to take like a 1 year, 2 year pause and then come back again and try another book. That's like 6 years of your life gone. You get your first chapter out. Get the world to think about it. Find clients to come to you and pay you for it. Implement your ideas at a client. Write your next chapter using the insights from a client. Maybe co-write it with a client. We have a service where if you write something with a client, our program can allow you to do that. But that is why you should not go solo. It's a bad idea. There's no pilot, there's no test, there's no proof of concept. You'll just burn yourself out. That's why, for example, if you look at our subscription services, we offer you free videos to test it, to know you like it. That's why when you want to buy a $250,000, well, any car, not just a $250,000 car, you want to test drive it first. You're not going to say, well, it's a very big purchase. I want to buy a Ferrari for $270,000, and that's the cheapest Ferrari. I think it's the cheapest one. But I'm going to buy it online. I'm never going to test it. Of course, you would never do that. So why would you do that with your career? You can write multiple chapters, get it out quickly, test it in the market, and actually build a career of writing high profile, high impact chapters. And this is a very important point I'm going to make for you. If you measure success as being someone who wrote a book by themselves that no one read, then you're very successful. But if you're measuring success as someone who's getting their ideas into the world and is being rewarded for it financially and through career success and through better client relationships, then go for single chapters. Because that is a better definition of success and how you want to think about it. You always want to be testing, getting it out there. Then you write this chapter and 10 clients come to you. Maybe they don't buy from you, but you spoke to 10 clients. You learned things you never knew before, which you can take to your existing clients. But imagine just one client, even if an existing client does more work with you, allows you to do something you've never done before. So what I'm talking about here is you need a strategy for how you're going to write. And that's why it's very important. I mean, we have this service whereby you can talk to us. And the strategy is this. What is your goal for writing this? Is it to get new clients that you've never had before? Is it to break into a new sector? Is it to do more of the same kind of work in your existing clients? Is it to move into an adjacent field with your current clients? Now, if you do all that by yourself over 2 years and you pick the wrong strategy, it's going to burn you. But also, what are you writing? Are you writing a book without exhibits? That's very powerful. Essay style writing is by far the most powerful style. That's why the opinion section of the Wall Street Journal is something coveted by presidents, Nobel laureates. They all want to put their viewpoint in the opinion section. And remember, anything written by even the most impressive, powerful expert in the world, if it's not a news article, it's their interpretation of facts, so it's an opinion. But what else can you write? Well, are you going to write a book whereby you're interviewing important people? Are you going to write a book like our journals, which is very data intensive? Because that's a whole different ballgame. Are you going to write a journal that people write into? But my question becomes, what's your strategy here? What are you trying to accomplish? Now, don't be overwhelmed by this. That's why we are here, because we know how to do this. We know the outcomes. We know the mechanics. We know why you need to do different things at different points in your career. You need to know how to move the ball forward. All you have to do is you have to talk to us and tell us what you're trying to accomplish, and we'll help you figure out what's the best way to do that. Always want to be moving forward and have a strategy of getting results quickly, as opposed to a strategy of just being a published author of a single book that's going to take you forever and probably will not achieve its goal because your first book, you don't know how to do all those strategy planning things and so on. It's very important to think about that.